Hi, friends. Well, I have a written journal up, and I think I'm going to share it with you. But I don't know. I may be working my way toward a live journal again. It's been a long time since I did one of those, and I can't tell you why. I just haven't felt comfortable enough with myself, but who knows why. All the changes coming so fast, and thank God I know that I'm not alone in this, that we're all going through uh, something or another along the same lines. Okay, well, I'm kind of excited to get into this journal. I want to share it. The last two that I did were from 710. And as Cup of Tea noticed, I've done enough changing between the 10th and the 30th that some of it really stuck out like a sore thumb. This is from 722. So it's another 12 days after that last one, and it's called Shifting Intentional Joy. So it was the first one of that day. The Mayan day was 9 read. So let's see what's here. Frankly, friends, this one is written to check in with myself, to touch bases and discover what has changed since I last journaled. Oh, that's rich. That's funny. I promise I didn't read this before. I'm reading it now. We can go on in our everyday consciousness, or even centered within a good bit, and yet not be in touch with our deep inner changes. That often takes either meditation or journaling, which to me is a form of meditation all its own. So, what is going on? I've been feeling really different, but nothing I can precisely pin down. Haven't had loads of energy, that's for sure, so I've been getting a bit of extra rest, but not that much. I haven't felt called to journal, though, so I haven't. I'm experiencing a surge of energy now, so I'm celebrating that by journaling this. For one thing, this 21 Days of Joy experiment of Inelia's, see the previous journal, has really brought about a shift in me. No, wait, not the experiment itself, but my chosen response to it is what brought on the shift. For years now, I have lived in the flow of heart energy, staying reasonably now-centric and empty. Now, don't think that means all the time. It does not. Reasonably is the key word. So, as I shared previously, rather than official participation, what with the daily vlogging it and all, I chose to participate by choosing joy not just an hour a day, but all the time. I set out to do what amounts to a 21-day joy meditation, devoting every present moment to my intent to be in joy. Well, no, devoting it to joy. Setting my intent to do that. I've got to tell you, that's a big shift. Personal will, though still alive here, is very weak. So many things having just fallen away, more and more emptiness had been the way of it until Inelia's experiment came on the scene. It was just too good to miss, so that provided the fuel for this change. At this point, I have no idea about the future, whether this new way of being will carry through into that or not, nor do I care, for that plays no part in self and now here in heart, so it falls off the radar for me. All I know is how things are going now, and as I've started to write, I realize that this is the main change I've been experiencing. That which has made the whole feel of my life so different of late. Interesting. I don't know what I think of personal will anymore either. While I firmly believe in choice and free will, I feel there's a huge variety of ways that can be interpreted and experienced. And of course, it starts out with the who am I question, and how one answers that makes all the difference. When I answer that I am the divine, I am source, that leads to interesting results. The personal I isn't the one making the bulk of my choices these days. Instead, they tend to come from a deeper place, from intuition central, from heart. So, stepping into that mix with this choice for intentional joy, well, it's just different. It's not a way I'm used to being. Not that I'm having any particular trouble with it. I am not. Things are going along fine. It feels a bit awkward at times, though, as it's redefining me in a way. Do you see? I hope I've made it plain enough. This is almost like cutting source or heart off at the pass and saying, no thanks, I'll drive now. It's not really that. I mean, but anyway, that's just how it can seem. Since, as you've often heard me say, joy, a deep internal joy, is something that's available to us all 24/7. It just takes a good, solid centering down to step into it. I promise, though, it's always available, always there. So, clearly, Source has nothing against being intentionally in joy, else it wouldn't be so ever present, or at least available within. I guess that reminding the self to keep touching down into that joy has made me a bit off kilter, simply because I'm not used to it, to this way of being, this way of taking the reins. That's all that feels strange, but it's enough. I have found that it brings up some old subconscious stuff that had me thinking we needed to suffer more or something. I'm not really clear on it yet. Have to do some more quiet self-observing before I can tell just what those old belief weeds are. There's no way we can pull the weeds until they're clearly identified. You can't get a hold on them. At least that's been my experience of things so far. So we watch. It's really the seeing, the actual perception of things that is key in my life. Once things are seen, and seen pretty clearly, then the alchemy, the magic can take place. I suppose it's ongoing in the background or underground in the subconscious all along, but that's not accessible yet to the conscious mind. So we watch. I am more and more aware of how very happy I am. Yes, even in the midst of the physical pain that so forms a backdrop for this life, so far. I am deeply sincere when I share with you that I am one of the richest, wealthiest beings on the planet, just with the inner treasures I've managed to uncover. And yet, these same treasures are available to us all. I love that part. It's still too early to say what the overall outcome of the joy experiment will be for me. It's one of my greatest motivating factors for even being here on this earth at this time. Oh, one of my greatest motivating factors for being here is compassion of a very deep kind. So it delights me no end to recognize when the thought appears now and then, that by my joy, I am feeding that into the group mind and thus supporting every living being on earth and even beyond, fractally. That's a great comfort to this particular heart. Discovering what is really and truly and deeply important to us. That's a beautiful treasure that the daily grind will keep from us if we let it. Finding, or rather carving out that quiet time, that self-time, is an evidence of true love for the self, and we all require that. I don't see ascension happening without it, since simply everything starts within. So, how are you doing on self-love? Do you consider the self worthy of such love? If we ask the brain, it will likely say no, so don't ask it. Go to heart for this and all such things. We've got to get away from so much attention to the mind and place that attention deeper within, much deeper. Let's all remember together that what we focus on grows and expands. If we want the mind's hold on us to expand, then let's keep thinking. Otherwise, let's make the shift from the head into the heart. Well, that's my choice anyway. What's yours? How many steps into real self-love have you taken recently? Forget the past. Let's stay more with the now, here, and simply start taking those steps. Come on, we all know how to love. We have all had a spouse, a child, a dog, or a mouse, something that we love ever so deeply. We know how that feels and how that motivates us to treat that one. The little thoughtful things we just love to do as an expression of it. As we set our powerful intent, for as source your intent is powerful, to love the self, let us self-observe the results of that. Watch for them. It can be such fun. One thing is to give yourself more rest time. Stop pushing the self. Mind is always driving, pushing, always out ahead with the next thing and the next and the next. It never ends. We can turn that off now and then. We don't have to be perfect at it, but even 5 minutes here and there can make a serious difference over time, and you won't know until you do it. I remember telling my mom, she was 80-something, and she was worried over some little things on her to-do list that she hadn't gotten done. And I could tell it kind of stopped her in her tracks when I said, Mom, the day you cross over, you will still have a dozen things on your list that aren't done. They're just not important. Another thing you'll discover the self-doing is stopping mind in the midst of its self-abuse. Come on, you know mind is unkind, and it can't help it yet, since it was brought up and formed to be like that. Now that we're reprogramming the self, however, those things are changing right under our noses. We're getting kinder to self. We are refusing to take the abuse. There are all sorts of ways, little and large, you can discover once you get serious about this self-observing stuff. It's really a very useful key to bringing yourself back into the now here. Just being observant with the focus turned within, that's the secret, instead of without. Observing what's on the outside isn't the best idea. It doesn't pack the punch that turning inward does. Check it out. You may even find that you're far less interested these days in the news and what the major media delivers via TV and radio and even the internet. You may discover yourself cruising the alternative media more and more. Well, that's another way of loving not only the self, but the whole world too. Whatever decisions we make to be kinder, more loving toward the self can also be seen as ways we're being kinder to life, to the all. Though the conscious mind tends to forget it, the fact is we're all fractally linked up, very interconnected. We can't help influencing all of life by whatever we do. It's just built in, so that part's nice too. Now that doesn't mean we don't honor our less than stellar feelings, though. Notice how I said feelings, not thoughts. I dishonor my less than stellar thoughts quite regularly. It's our feelings that count for a whole lot more than thought. Our feelings are much closer to heart. By the way, did you know that you have 4 hearts? Yeah, I added them up the other day and came out with 4. Can you name them? The first one to me would be the cosmic sort of portal or space that I'm calling the capital H heart. Love that spot. Next would be the heart chakra, if we're traveling down in the dimensions. And right with that one would be what is called the high heart, another chakra in the area of the thymus gland, a few inches above the heart. And finally, we can't leave out the physical body's heart, which is hugely powerful. For those who don't know, its magnetic field, the physical heart's magnetic field, is roughly 5,000 times greater than that of the brain. Its electrical field is hundreds of times greater, too. I forgot the precise number. These are from heartmath.org, by the way, so they are from science, not metaphysics. So, all in all, that makes 4 hearts. Who'd have thunk it, huh? What a trip. Yeah, there you go. And we've had them functioning all along without us being aware of more than 1 or 2 in most cases. Pretty darn neat if you ask me. I'm loving that. 4 is the number of earth, of Gaia, of substance, of matter itself, the square, the 4 directions, etc. It is both sacred and such a solid, grounded, and grounding number. I think it's great that it's associated with heart. It goes to show us how very grounding being in heart in any of them can be. Time are challenging. I suppose that is times are challenging, folks. We all know that. But do we cut the self any slack in the midst of it all? I'm learning to do a lot more of that, and I'm loving it. It was hard at first. I resisted it. Mind resisted it. It's like we've got these old habits. But, you know, once you get into it, it's really nice. It's a really great feeling all around. As we get more and more out from under the domination of the unkindness of mind, life is simply better all around. We have much more freedom, more breathing room. Namaste.